the night bleeds silver and red. Rain falls like shards of glass, slicing through the air, turning the forest into a living thing that breathes with pain. The scent of iron, wild earth, and blood drifts between the trees, thick, suffocating, unrelenting. Somewhere in that endless storm, she runs. Her bare feet tear through the mud, splashing over roots slick with moss. Her breath comes in broken gasps, each one sharper than the last. The cold doesn't just sting, it punishes. It digs into her bones, reminding her with every shiver that she's still alive when she shouldn't be. The branches reach for her like claws, snagging her torn cloak, dragging across her skin as if the forest itself wants to keep her. Her heart pounds so loudly it almost drowns out the thunder. Almost. Because beneath the storm, another sound follows her, low, guttural howls that rise and fall in the distance. Wolves. Her wolves. The same voices that once held in celebration when she was born. The same pack that once called her sister. Now they hunt her. Her lungs burn, but she doesn't stop. She can't. Not after what happened. Not after the betrayal that ripped her world apart in a single heartbeat. Her ribs ache, her fingers clutch at the wound along her side. It's deep, messy, but it's not what's killing her. What's killing her is the thought that the hand behind the blade wasn't an enemy's. It was hers. Her own sister's. The night hides her tears, but nothing can hide the memory. The laughter. The promise. The knife. All for power. All for a crown that was never meant to be hers. She stumbles, catches herself against a fallen tree slick with rain. Her reflection flashes in the puddle beneath her, mud-streaked face, wild eyes, hair clinging to her skin. For a moment, she doesn't recognize the woman staring back. Once she was the pride of her pack, the girl with the gentle heart and silver eyes, the one who dreamed of peace. Now, she looks like something the moon forgot to love. She hears them again. Closer now. The sound of paws pounding the earth, the echo of snarls carried on the wind. They're tracking her scent. The wolves of her blood. Her family. She wipes her mouth with a trembling hand and forces herself forward. The forest opens into a clearing she doesn't recognize, a wide expanse of broken stones and shattered pillars. The ruins. The forbidden border. She'd been warned as a child never to come here. They said the land was cursed, haunted by the spirits of wolves who lost their humanity. But what is a curse to someone already cursed? Lightning cracks across the sky, illuminating the world in one blinding flash. For a second, she sees it, the symbol carved deep into the nearest stone. A spiral of fire encased in a crescent moon. It hums under the rain, faintly alive. She's too exhausted to question it. She just knows she can't go back. Not now. Not ever. She presses her palm against the stone, and the world shifts. The rain softens. The air thickens. The hum grows stronger. The symbol glows faintly beneath her touch, whispering something she doesn't understand. Her skin tingles. Her veins burn. The silver light that lives inside her, her secret, her curse, flares to life. She jerks her hand back, gasping. Her fingers glow faintly before the rain washes the shimmer away. She feels it again, that strange pull deep in her chest. The power that never listens, that frightens her as much as it fascinates her. Her breath catches on a sob she can't hold in. Why did she do it? She whispers to the storm. Why my sister? Her voice cracks, lost beneath the thunder. The question isn't meant for an answer, but the world gives her one anyway. Lightning shatters the sky, splitting a tree in half not 10 paces away. The sound is deafening. The ground trembles beneath her feet. She flinches, hands over her ears. And in that blinding, heart-stopping instant, she feels it, something watching her. Not the pack. Not the storm. Something older. Something darker. The air thickens, almost humming. The forest holds its breath. Even the rain pauses for a single heartbeat. Then, through the mist, a shadow moves. At first, it's nothing but a flicker between the trees, a silhouette too tall, too still to be a wolf. Her pulse stutters. The hair on the back of her neck rises. She blinks through the rain, trying to see. The world feels suspended, time stretching, bending, breaking around her fear. And then she sees them. Eyes. Amber. Burning. Unblinking. Watching her from the dark. Her throat tightens. Every instinct screams to run, but her body refuses to obey. Her breath comes fast and shallow. The scent hits her, smoke, wild pine, something faintly metallic beneath it. A scent that doesn't belong to her pack. A scent she remembers only from whispers and nightmares. The scarred alpha. They said he lived alone beyond the borders, exiled after the Great War. They said half his face was burned away by his own flames, that his heart turned to ash with his mate's death. They said he killed anyone who crossed into his territory. They said a lot of things. But no one ever mentioned how his presence could make the air vibrate, how his gaze could pin a person to the ground without a single word. She takes a shaky step back, her feet sinking into the mud. Her wound burns again, hot and sharp. Her vision swims. She can't fight. She can't even stand. The last of her strength slips away with her next breath. The figure moves closer, slowly, deliberately. Each step is measured, predatory, silent. She can't see his face, not yet, but she can feel the power rolling off him like heat. The kind of power that bends the world around it. The thunder rolls again, but softer this time, almost reverent. He stops just a few feet away. She can make out the curve of his jaw, the line of his shoulders, the faint glimmer of scars that cut across his skin. And then, his voice, deep, low, gravel-edged, cuts through the storm like a blade. You shouldn't be here, little wolf. Her breath catches. There's no anger in his tone, no cruelty. Just quiet, bone-deep warning. She wants to answer, to explain, but her lips won't move. The world tilts. The rain blurs into silver streaks. She sways once, twice. Then darkness claims her. Her last sight before falling is of those eyes, amber and endless, burning through the night like they've been waiting for her. And maybe, they have. If stories that burn your heart and heal your soul are what you crave, subscribe to Sophie's Romance Collections. Because tonight, the storm is only beginning. The world returns in fragments. The faint crackle of fire. The soft drip of rain beyond the stone walls. The warmth of heat against skin that has forgotten gentleness. Her eyelids flutter, heavy, reluctant. The scent of smoke and cedar seeps into her lungs, grounding her, confusing her. She isn't dead. Not yet. The pain reminds her. The wound at her side throbs with dull fire, wrapped in clean linen and the sharp sting of crushed herbs. She turns her head slowly, her body stiff from exhaustion, her throat dry as bone. The shadows shift beside the fire, and that's when she sees him. He's sitting just a few feet away. Broad shoulders, scarred skin catching the orange glow of flame, posture too still to belong to anything human. His hair, dark and rough like midnight bark, falls over his forehead. The firelight dances across his face, across the part of it still whole. The other side bears the story of war, deep scars that run from temple to jaw, carved into him like a map of pain. The scarred alpha. The ghost every pup was warned about before they learned to walk. He doesn't speak at first. He doesn't need to. His silence fills the cave, thick as smoke. His presence alone feels like gravity, pulling everything, her fear, her shame, her pulse, toward him. When he finally moves, it's subtle. A shift of his arm. The flecks of muscle under his shirt. His voice comes low, roughened by time and memory. I should have left you. The words cut through the stillness like a knife. Eureka betrayal. Her stomach tightens. The sound of his voice alone awakens something buried, not fear exactly, but awareness. The kind that burns from the inside. She swallows, her own voice breaking on its way out. You know who I am? His eyes lift to her then, gold, molten, alive. They hold her in place, stripping away every defense she doesn't have the strength to rebuild. He doesn't blink when he answers. Your sister came to me 2 nights ago. The world narrows. Her breath stops. She offered your life, he says, every word measured, deliberate, heavy, in exchange for hers. The cave suddenly feels too small, too hot. She pushes herself up despite the pain, clutching at her side. No, the word trembles out of her. No, she wouldn't. He cuts her off with a look. Not anger. Something colder. She wanted to be Luna. Her mouth goes dry. The memory flashes. Her sister smiled the night of the blood moon, soft and false. The kiss on her cheek before the knife. The promise, trust me. And she did. Her voice barely escapes her. She'll do anything to get it. He nods once, eyes still fixed on her. She will be Luna. A pause. If I accept her offer. The fire pops, sending sparks spiraling into the air. The sound jolts her back into her body. Her pulse races. Anger burns beneath her ribs, but confusion tempers it. Then why am I still alive? He leans forward, resting his elbow on his knee, the flicker of fire catching the hollow of his throat. Because fate, he says quietly, has a cruel sense of humor. She meets his eyes. There's no mercy there, but there's no mockery either. Only a tired kind of truth. He looks at her like he's searching for something. A reason, maybe. A warning. His gaze lingers on her face, tracing the faint silver mark near her collarbone, the one that glows only when her power stirs. You're the one the old mark spoke of, he murmurs. The one with silver fire. The words drop like stones into silence. She stares at him, chest tight. That's a myth, she whispers. He tilts his head slightly, the scar pulling at his mouth when he almost smiles. Then why does the fire answer when you bleed? Her hand instinctively moves to her ribs, where the wound pulses with faint warmth beneath the linen. The fire in the hearth flickers, dancing higher for a moment, like it recognizes her. She sees it too. He notices. His eyes darken. He doesn't move closer, but his presence does, it fills the space between them. The tension hums, alive, unrelenting. Fear and something else twist inside her. Something she refuses to name. Her voice trembles, but it doesn't break. You think fate sent me here? He doesn't answer. Instead, he looks into the fire, his expression unreadable. Fate doesn't send. It traps. The silence that follows feels fragile. Heavy with things neither of them can say. She studies him, searching for the man behind the scars. He looks like he's carved from stone and stormlight, strength worn thin by grief. He doesn't fidget. Doesn't flinch. But she can feel it, the quiet war raging behind his eyes. Why save me, then, she asks finally. If you think I'm what they say I am? He lifts his head again. The flames catch the gold in his irises. For a moment, he looks less like a man and more like the thing the old stories feared, a creature made of fury and fire. Because, he says, voice barely above a whisper, you shouldn't exist. The air leaves her lungs. And yet, he adds, leaning forward until the shadow of his face touches hers, here you are. The fire crackles louder between them. She can hear the rhythm of his breathing, slow, steady, deliberate. The scent of smoke and pine surrounds her, grounding her, confusing her all over again. She wants to look away, but can't. He reaches out. Not to touch her, but to pick up a piece of wood and place it on the fire. The small act feels too careful for someone his size, his reputation. She forces herself to breathe. The words come out like a confession. I didn't ask for any of this. He glances at her, the hint of something softer flashing across his face before vanishing. No one ever does. She studies the scars that map his skin, evidence of pain that didn't kill him but changed him. Her sister's words echo in her head, cruel and certain, he's a monster. Don't look at him too long. But monsters don't heal their enemies. Monsters don't speak like this. He turns back to the fire, his tone quieter now, almost thoughtful. They said the same thing about me once, he mutters. That I carried the curse. She doesn't know why she asks, but she does. Did you? He looks up, and for the first time, she sees the truth there, raw, unguarded. I still do. Something in her chest cracks open. The room feels smaller again, but in a different way, not from fear, but from the strange gravity that keeps pulling her toward him. Her fingers twitch against the blanket. She wants to speak, to ask what happened to him, what burned him so deeply it left marks even fire couldn't erase. But she knows better. Some wounds don't want questions. Instead, she whispers, "Thank you, for not letting me die." His eyes narrow, not in anger, but in disbelief. Gratitude isn't something he recognizes anymore. I didn't save you, he says flatly. I stopped you from dying in my territory. Her lips part, ready to argue, but he's already standing. The shift of his body commands silence. He moves with the easy strength of someone who's fought the world and survived it. You'll rest tonight, he says, his back to her now. At dawn, you leave. The words hit harder than she expects. Leave? He pauses, one hand braced against the stone wall. His shoulders tense, his head tilts slightly, just enough for her to see the side of his face still untouched by ruin. You don't belong here, he says. And if the council finds you, they'll finish what your sister started. Her pulse hammers. You think I don't know that? Then run faster next time. The bluntness stings, but it's not cruelty. It's something else, defense, perhaps. The voice of someone who's seen too many die because they hesitated. I can't go back, she says quietly. I'm not your refuge. She looks at him, her voice trembling but strong. Then what am I? He doesn't turn around. A reminder. Of what? He looks back then, his eyes locking on hers. That mercy costs more than blood. The fire crackles. The wind howls outside, carrying the scent of distant rain. For a long moment, neither of them speaks. She watches him move deeper into the shadows of the cave, his steps soundless. The scar along his jaw catches one last flash of firelight before it disappears. The space he leaves behind feels colder. She lies back slowly, her thoughts spinning, heart racing. Every part of her aches, body, mind, soul. But underneath the exhaustion, something new stirs. Not peace. Not fear. Something in between. Maybe it's curiosity. Maybe it's danger. Maybe both. She closes her eyes, the sound of his breathing faint in the distance. The storm outside fades to a whisper, the fire settling into a low hum. For the first time since the betrayal, she isn't running. She isn't fighting. She just exists, caught between the man who should have killed her and the truth she's not ready to face. The silver fire inside her flickers once beneath her skin, soft and uncertain. Almost as if it's reaching for something, or someone, in the dark. And somewhere deeper in the cave, the scarred alpha sits awake, unmoving, his gaze fixed on the flames. The light dances in his eyes, revealing the faintest trace of conflict there, a man at war with his own instinct. He doesn't understand why he saved her. He doesn't know if he'll regret it. But as the firelight fades to embers, one truth echoes in the silence, something ancient, quiet, and dangerous. The girl he should have left to die now lives under his roof. And the world will never be the same again. Sleep doesn't come. The silence inside the cave is too alive, breathing with secrets, whispering with memories that refuse to die. Every time she closes her eyes, the firelight flickers behind her lids, twisting into shapes that look like faces she'll never see again. The wound at her side throbs, but it isn't the pain that keeps her awake. It's the memory. The weight of what she's done. What she's lost. Her breath catches. The air smells like cedar and smoke, but beneath it, she can still taste the ash of that night, the night everything ended. It began with the moon. The council had gathered beneath the sacred oak, their robes white, their eyes sharp as silver blades. The air was thick with incense and promise. It was supposed to be her rite of passage, her 17th birthday, the night she would take her place among the pack, blessed by the goddess herself. She remembers her sister's hand, warm against hers, the whisper in her ear, "Don't be afraid." She had believed her. When the moon rose, it was enormous, red-gold and ancient, trembling against the clouds. The pack held in unison, voices rising like a storm, calling the goddess to witness. And then it happened. The pain came first, sharp, clean, endless. Then the light. It poured out of her, wild and merciless. Silver fire, alive and furious, crawling over her skin like living metal. The ground split beneath her. The sacred oak, centuries old, burst into flame. The chants turned to screams. She couldn't stop it. She didn't even understand it. Her father ran toward her, his voice cutting through the chaos, "It's okay, breathe, I've got you." But he never reached her. The tree came down before he could. The heat swallowed him whole. She still hears the sound. Flesh and flame. The way her sister screamed tore through the night, not in grief, but in something else. Something that sounded like satisfaction. When the fire finally died, there was nothing left of him but ash. And her sister standing beside the Alpha Council, her face a mask of sorrow she didn't feel. They called it divine punishment. They called her cursed. "The moon has turned from you," they said. "You draw death wherever you go." And her sister, her blood, her shadow, didn't speak a word in her defense. She only bowed her head, silent, holy, forgiven. That was the night she was cast out. Now, years later, in the flickering light of another fire, she opens her eyes to find herself staring at the man they call the scarred Alpha. He sits where he always does, across from her, the weight of the night heavy on his shoulders. His expression doesn't change when their eyes meet, but something in the air shifts, softer, uncertain. She studies him through the haze of memory. His scars catch the light, raw and real. She wonders how many of them are self-inflicted, not by Blade, but by the choices he's made to survive. He moves quietly, tossing another log onto the fire. The glow paints him in shades of gold and shadow. "You talk in your sleep," he says, voice low. Her pulse jumps. "What did I say?" He doesn't answer right away. His gaze lingers on the flames. "You called someone's name." Her chest tightens. "My father." He nods once, as if that explains everything. Silence stretches between them, heavy but not empty. It's the kind of silence that doesn't demand words, it just asks you to stay. Finally, he speaks again, his tone quieter now. "The night I got these scars, I stopped believing in gods." Her eyes lift to him. He doesn't look at her when he continues. "There was a war," he says. "Two packs, mine and hers. They said it was for territory, but it was pride. It's always pride." He leans forward, elbows on his knees, his gaze distant, buried somewhere far from the cave. "We were supposed to retreat before dawn. I told her to run. She stayed." His hand drifts to his chest, like muscle memory. "When the flames came, she didn't scream. She just looked at me. And then she was gone." The firelight flickers across his face, and for a heartbeat, the mask cracks. His jaw tightens, his throat moves, but the pain remains quiet, buried too deep for tears. She doesn't know what to say. Words feel useless here. All she can do is listen. "I learned that night," he says, "that power only destroys. You can't save anyone with it. Not even the ones you love." His voice falls into the silence again, low and rough, like gravel scraping across stone. She swallows hard. Her voice trembles when she speaks. "Then why am I still alive?" He finally looks at her. The gold in his eyes softens, not warm but no longer cruel. His expression is unreadable, caught somewhere between defiance and surrender. Because maybe, he exhales slowly, like the words themselves hurt. Not every fire burns to end. Her heart stumbles. For the first time in years, she doesn't feel like a weapon. Not a curse. Not a mistake. Just a girl, broken, terrified, breathing. The flames between them sway, alive and gentle now, their light dancing on stone and skin. She watches it move across his scar, the one that splits his face but doesn't define him. It feels like a metaphor for everything neither of them knows how to say. She whispers, "You don't believe in fate." "I don't," he answers. "Then what do you believe in?" He looks at her for a long time, and when he finally answers, his voice barely carries across the fire. "Pain," he says. "And what it teaches." Her lips part, but the words die before they leave. He stands, stretching his shoulders, every movement slow, deliberate. He walks toward the cave's mouth, where the night breathes through the stone. The moonlight spills in, pale, cold, distant. He stops there, half in shadow, half in light. "Sleep," he murmurs. "Tomorrow you'll tell me everything. Or you'll leave. Your choice." She watches him for a long time, the outline of his body framed by the silver glow. He looks like a man made of two worlds, fire and ash, light and ruin. When he finally disappears into the dark, she exhales a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. Her thoughts drift again, unwillingly, back to her sister. The one who stood by as she was condemned. The one who now sleeps in silk sheets, dreaming of power. Maybe she was right to betray her. Maybe the curse was real after all. But as the fire hums quietly beside her, she feels something different this time. The silver warmth deep inside her doesn't feel wild or cruel. It feels alive. Waiting. And as the storm outside fades into the rhythm of the mountain's heartbeat, she realizes something terrifying. The fire inside her isn't the only one she fears. The one she feels when he looks at her, that's worse. Because it doesn't destroy. It tempts. And for the first time since her exile, she isn't sure which one will consume her first, the power in her blood or the man who refuses to look away from it. The dawn creeps slowly into the mountain, soft and pale like a secret afraid to be spoken aloud. The storm has passed, leaving the forest outside heavy with the scent of wet earth and pine. Mist curls through the entrance of the cave, silver ribbons moving like breath itself. She wakes before the alpha returns, her body still aching but her mind restless, restless in that dangerous way that always comes before change. The fire has burned low, but the air hums faintly, like the mountain remembers her. When she steps outside, the world feels new, raw, unfamiliar. The sky is bruised purple, the kind that promises a day of reckoning. Every sound seems sharper, the drip of rain from branches, the whisper of wings, the quiet pulse of her own heartbeat. Then she feels it, that same hum from last night, deeper now, older. It's in the soil, in the roots, in her blood. It pulls her forward like a hand she can't see. The scarred alpha finds her standing at the edge of the clearing, barefoot, eyes distant. "You shouldn't wander alone here," he says quietly. She doesn't look at him. "Something's calling me." He steps beside her, following her gaze into the trees. His expression darkens. "I know." They walk without speaking, guided by instinct more than direction. The forest grows thicker, darker, every path swallowed by vines and shadow. Yet the air glows faintly, faint symbols carved into bark, old as language itself. They shimmer softly when she passes, reacting to her presence, pulsing with each breath she takes. The alpha watches in silence. Even his steady composure falters for a heartbeat as the marks flare brighter, as though the forest itself recognizes her. "What is this place?" she whispers. "Old ground," he answers. "Older than any pack." His tone changes, reverent, cautious. "Before wolves had names, before the goddess chose her first sons, there was the flame. They say she forged us from light and fire, molded us with mercy and fury both. This was where it happened." Her heart quickens. The trees seem to lean closer, listening. He leads her deeper until the forest opens suddenly into a wide hollow, a circle of ancient stone half swallowed by time. Moss covers most of it, but faint carvings still gleam beneath, spirals, moons, wolves kneeling before a single figure carved in flame. A forgotten shrine. This is where it began, he says, his voice low, almost a growl. The first wolves were made here. The flame chose them, those strong enough to bear her fire without breaking. She kneels, fingers brushing the cold stone. It feels alive, thrumming faintly under her skin like a heartbeat beneath the surface. The air thickens, dense with history and the weight of something sacred. And then, a flash. Her vision burns white. She's no longer in the hollow. She's standing in the center of a storm of fire and moonlight. Wolves bow around her, their pelts silver and black, their eyes burning with light. And before her, a woman. Not human, not entirely wolf either. Her hair is a river of flame. Her eyes are pure silver, endless and unblinking. When she speaks, her voice comes from everywhere and nowhere. Child of the flame. You are not the cursed, you are the key. The vision snaps like a bone breaking. She gasps, stumbling back into herself, hands burning. Thin trails of fire dance across her fingers, alive, hungry. The scarred alpha moves instantly, his hand half raised, not to strike but to shield. The glow lights the side of his face, throwing the old wound into sharp relief, a scar born of fire now staring into its source. The ground trembles beneath them. The forest groans, roots creaking as though the earth itself feels her awakening. The alpha's voice is rough when he finally speaks. You're the one they spoke of. She looks up, eyes wide, pulse erratic. What are you talking about? The prophecy, he says. The flame's daughter. The one who will end or save us all. She shakes her head violently. No. No, that can't be me. My power kills. You saw what it did. His expression softens, not pity, but something quieter. Maybe it isn't meant to kill. Maybe it's meant to choose. Choose what? Which side of the fire we live on, he says. The silence that follows is heavy. She stares at her hands, the faint light fading to ash. It should comfort her, but it doesn't. When she finally speaks again, her voice is barely there. If I'm the one they spoke of, then why am I afraid? He looks at her for a long time, his gaze deep and unreadable. Because power that saves and power that destroys often feel the same. The words settle in her chest like truth she's not ready to accept. They linger at the shrine until the sun begins to climb. The light filters through the branches, painting her skin in gold and silver. For a moment, the alpha forgets to breathe. He sees not the cursed girl his kind hunts, but something holy, fragile and fierce at once. But then the wind shifts, and the smell of distant wolves cuts through the air. The scent of her sister's pack. He tenses immediately. They're close. She turns to him, panic flickering behind her calm. They'll kill me if they find me here. Not if I can stop it, he says. Why, she asks. You said yourself, I'm the one who can destroy everything. He meets her eyes, and there's no hesitation this time. Or rebuild it. If you learn to wield it. Her throat tightens. And if I can't? Then we all burn. The words hang between them, raw and final. He steps closer. The air changes, charged, intimate. The distance between them hums with unspoken things. Her pulse thrums in her ears, echoing the rhythm of his heartbeat, steady, strong, too close. He studies her face, as if trying to memorize the shape of her fear. Do you trust me? She doesn't answer. She can't. Then trust the fire, he murmurs. It hasn't taken you yet. The breeze lifts her hair, carrying the scent of smoke and pine. The forest sighs, an old sound, ancient and knowing. She glances at the shrine once more, at the carvings glowing faintly like veins of molten silver. Something inside her shifts. A decision, maybe. A surrender. She presses her palm to the stone again. This time the flame doesn't flare wild, it flows gentle, controlled, pulsing in rhythm with her breath. She feels it responding, recognizing her. The Alpha watches, awe flickering across his usually unreadable face. For a brief, impossible moment, he looks like a man seeing sunlight for the first time after years underground. When she stands, her eyes gleam faintly silver. The light fades, but the feeling doesn't. It's inside her now, quiet, waiting, no longer asking permission to exist. He takes a step back, almost instinctively, as if he's seen something too vast to comprehend. You really are her blood, he says. She doesn't ask who her is. She already knows. The flame. The mother of wolves. The goddess of beginning and end. And suddenly, every story she was ever told feels too small for what she's becoming. The Alpha's voice drops low. If the prophecy's true, then every pack will come for you. Some to kneel. Most to kill. She turns toward him, a flicker of defiance in her eyes. Then let them come. For the first time, a faint smile touches his lips, not joy, but recognition. The same kind of grim acceptance shared by soldiers before a war they can't avoid. The wind howls through the shrine, scattering petals and ash. Destiny, once a cruel joke, now breathes between them like a living thing. And somewhere deep beneath the earth, the flame stirs. Its pulse answers hers. Prophecy is no longer a story told in whispers. It's awake. And it has chosen its vessel. The night devoured her. Trees blurred past as she ran, barefoot, bleeding, half-shifted, each heartbeat drumming like a war call in her ears. The forest wasn't silent anymore. It watched. The old magic she'd awakened stirred the creatures that slept beneath the roots. The moon loomed above, swollen and red, as though the heavens themselves bled for what had just begun. Behind her, distant howls splintered the night. His wolves hunting her or perhaps protecting her, she no longer knew. Betrayal and longing tangled in her chest until she couldn't tell them apart. Every breath scraped against her ribs. The scent of cedar and smoke still clung to her skin, the reminder of his den, his world, where she'd briefly believed she belonged. But that illusion had burned away like everything else she touched. She stopped only when her legs gave out. The clearing she stumbled into was hollowed by time, an ancient battlefield where stone markers leaned like broken soldiers. She pressed her palm against one, and it hummed faintly beneath her touch. The same symbols that glowed in the shrine pulsed here, weaker, fading, as though her very blood woke them. She wanted to scream, but her voice had become smoke. The prophecy whispered through her mind like a curse she couldn't silence. The one who will end or save us all. She hadn't asked to be chosen. She hadn't asked to be feared. All she'd wanted was peace, an ordinary life under a moon that didn't recoil from her. But peace had no place for creatures born of fire and shadow. The wind shifted. She sensed him before she heard him, the weight of his presence sliding through the trees, quiet but unrelenting. The scarred Alpha emerged from the darkness, his golden eyes catching the faint light like embers. He looked torn between relief and fury, his breath visible in the cold air. You should have run farther, he said, voice low, carrying too much restraint. I did, she rasped, still trembling. The world just isn't big enough to escape what I am. He took a step closer, the sound of crushed leaves breaking the stillness. You didn't destroy my land, he said. You divided it. His gaze flicked toward the distant valley where fires still glowed. Half my wolves have turned against me because of you. And the other half, they're afraid of what they saw. Her throat tightened. Then let me go. Let them have their Luna. His expression hardened. You think that's mercy? You think giving her my crown will stop her from hunting you? He took another step until the heat of him cut through the chill. Your sister doesn't want the throne. She wants your death to seal it. Her voice broke. Then why are you still here? He didn't answer immediately. The silence that followed was heavy, threaded with everything neither dared to say. Finally, he said, because I saw the flame answer you, and I saw that it didn't consume everything. It obeyed you, even when it broke loose. She shook her head. You saw what it did to your altar. To your pack. I saw what it could become if you stopped running from it. His hand brushed against hers, not a touch, just the threat of one. And maybe. I'm tired of being afraid of power I don't understand. The air between them thickened. He smelled of pine and steel and the faintest trace of blood. His heartbeat thrummed too loudly, too close. Every instinct in her told her to pull away, but something ancient and magnetic kept her there. Before she could answer, the wind shifted again, this time carrying the stench of blood and ash. A scream tore through the forest, followed by the unmistakable sound of battle. Wolves, many of them, closing in fast. He turned, muscles tensing. She sent them. Your pack? No, he said darkly. Your sister's new army. The words were still leaving his mouth when the first of them broke through the tree-line, wolves black as night, their eyes gleaming crimson. Rogues twisted by blood magic, their scent wrong, metallic and rancid. They moved with hunger, not loyalty. The scarred alpha's growl rolled through the forest, low and thunderous. His shift ripped through the air in a blur of motion, bones snapping, fur bursting forth, his form towering and brutal. But even as he lunged into the fray, she felt it, the pull of the flame awakening in her veins, demanding release. She fought it at first, terrified of what it would do. But when one of the corrupted wolves lunged at him, teeth sinking into his shoulder, something inside her snapped. The fire erupted, not wild this time, but alive. It surged through her hands in ribbons of silver light, searing the creature into dust without touching him. The rogues hesitated, snarling. The ground beneath them glowed with the markings from the shrine. The forest seemed to breathe, ancient power returning to its roots. She stood in the center of it, fire dancing around her like armor. He looked back at her mid-battle, golden eyes burning through the haze. For a moment, everything else fell away, the blood, the fear, the world tearing itself apart. He saw her not as a curse but as a weapon forged from the same pain that shaped him. They fought together, his claws and her flame, instinct entwined. The forest became their battleground, their heartbeat the rhythm of war. Every kill brought them closer, every shared breath deepened the unspoken connection. The line between ally and something more blurred until it ceased to exist. When the last rogue fell, silence reclaimed the night. Smoke drifted over the clearing, the scent of burnt magic hanging in the air. He shifted back, breath ragged, blood running down his arm. She moved toward him, hesitant. You're hurt. I've been worse. His smirk was faint, pained. You didn't burn me. She looked at her hands, still glowing faintly. I don't understand how. Because, he said, stepping closer, you finally stopped fighting it. Her pulse stuttered. The silver light reflected in his eyes, merging with the gold until they looked like dawn itself. His hand rose, brushing a lock of soot-streaked hair from her face. You're not what they say you are. And you're not as heartless as they say, she whispered back. He laughed softly, the sound broken and raw. Don't be so sure. But she saw the truth in him. The grief that never healed, the loyalty that refused to die, the need for redemption that mirrored her own. The fire inside her didn't rage now. It hummed. Calm. Controlled. For the first time, it felt like part of her, not a weapon. They stood there, bloodied and breathless, surrounded by the ashes of what had tried to destroy them. But even in the quiet, both knew this was only the beginning. Her sister would not stop. The packs would not forgive. The prophecy would demand its due. The scarred alpha turned his gaze toward the mountains beyond the forest. There's one place she won't follow, he said. Where the moon's light never touches. She frowned. The Shadow Vale? That place is cursed. He met her eyes. So are we. The decision sealed itself in that breath. Together, they vanished into the night, the last two souls bound by flame and fate, walking toward a darkness that promised no mercy but maybe, just maybe, the truth of who they really were. The forest whispered after them, old voices stirring in the roots, the fire has chosen. The balance shifts again. And as the crimson moon sank below the horizon, the world trembled, knowing that what burned that night was not just the end of peace, but the spark of something far greater. The mountains were merciless, but in their silence, she found a strange kind of peace. The cold bit at her skin, carving color from her lips, yet inside, the storm had gone still. The scarred alpha's den was carved into the cliffside, shielded from the wind by ancient stone. Outside, the world froze; inside, the fire painted them in fragile warmth. He moved without sound, tending the flames with practiced care. His every motion carried purpose, though beneath the steady rhythm there was restraint, a tension that had nothing to do with the cold. His shadow stretched long across the cave wall, mingling with hers, flickering in and out as though their forms had already begun to blur. She watched him, the rise and fall of his shoulders, the scar that caught the light like a map of pain and survival. There was no crown here, no pack, no prophecy pressing its weight upon them. Just two exiles beneath an indifferent moon. When he finally spoke, his voice was low, deliberate. They'll regroup by dawn. Your sister has the packs behind her now. You know that means war. She stared into the flames. War was always coming. I just gave them a face to blame. His gaze flicked toward her. You think you're their enemy. You're not. You're their fear. Her lips parted, but no words came. The firelight danced over her hands, the faintest shimmer of silver beneath the skin, pulsing like a heartbeat. She clenched her fists, hiding it. Fear destroys, she murmured. Only when you let it, he said. The silence that followed wasn't empty, it was heavy with meaning, layered with everything they couldn't yet name. He broke it first. You said I should have let them take you. I've been trying to understand why. Because it would have been easier, she said, voice cracking. Easier than running, easier than fighting everyone I love. Maybe they're right. Maybe I am cursed. His expression hardened, the kind of anger born not from pride but from sorrow. You think your curse is that you burn? My curse is that I watched everyone I cared for die because I didn't burn when I should have. Her eyes met his, wet and unguarded. You think saving me fixes that? No, he stepped closer. But maybe saving you means I finally stop watching fate take what it wants without a fight. The words hung between them, rough and raw. She could feel his breath now, warm against the cold that wrapped around them. His scent was familiar, cedar, smoke, and the faint metallic note of battle long past. Every part of her wanted to lean closer, but something inside warned her, connection was dangerous. It made things real. It made things hurt. He saw that hesitation. Trust me, he said quietly. Or leave before I can't let you. Her heart stuttered. You'd let me go? If it kept you alive. His jaw tightened. Even if it kills me. The confession broke something open inside her. He turned away before she could answer, feeding another log into the fire. The flames rose, throwing sparks that spiraled toward the ceiling, reflecting in her silver-lined eyes. She rose, the sound of her steps soft against the stone. When she reached him, she didn't speak. Instead, she reached out and touched the scar that ran from his temple to his jaw. His breath caught, but he didn't pull away. I don't see your scars when I look at you, she whispered. I see the man who walked through fire and didn't let it consume him. His voice came out rough. Then you see a lie. No, she said, softer now. I see what I could become if I stop running. He turned then, sudden and sharp, and she saw everything in his eyes, the war, the loss, the relentless hunger to believe in something again. His hand came up, fingers brushing her wrist, tracing the faint shimmer beneath her skin. The flame's changing, he murmured. It feels different around you. It feels different because I'm not afraid right now, she said. Their proximity became unbearable, close enough that the heat between them drowned out the cold. She could hear the unsteady rhythm of his breath, could feel the pulse that betrayed how hard he was fighting to stay still. He leaned forward, but stopped an inch away. You should tell me to stop. I can't, she whispered. He didn't close the distance. Instead, he stepped back, eyes burning brighter than the fire itself. Then don't make me start what I can't finish. Not yet. Her chest ached with everything unspoken. You think this is about desire? No, he said. It's about survival. If I let myself need you, I'll lose what's left of the man I was. She took a breath, steadying herself. Maybe that's the point. The fire cracked between them, a sharp burst of sound that shattered the fragile stillness. Outside, the wind howled across the peaks like a warning. The prophecy's weight pressed close again, the reminder that destiny didn't care about their moments of stillness. She sat back down, curling her arms around her knees. When I was a child, before the flame came, I used to dream of someone standing in the dark, holding out his hand. I never saw his face, but I always woke up crying. I think it was you. He froze. For a long time, neither spoke. The only sound was the whisper of snow sliding off the rocks above. Finally, he said, maybe we've been walking toward this long before either of us were born. The fire dimmed, but the space between them glowed with something older than magic. As the hours passed, exhaustion claimed them. He sat with his back against the cave wall, eyes half closed, but still alert, always alert. She watched him from where she lay wrapped in furs. His silhouette was carved against the dying firelight, the steady rhythm of his breathing grounding her in a way nothing else could. When she finally drifted to sleep, she dreamt of wolves made of starlight circling a great silver flame. At the center of it all stood him, unscarred, whole, reaching for her hand. But when she touched him, the vision fractured into ash. She woke gasping, the world spinning. The fire had nearly gone out. The scarred alpha was already awake, watching her with an expression she couldn't read. Bad dreams? He asked. More like memories of something that hasn't happened yet. He nodded slowly, as if that made perfect sense. Prophecies are like that. They show you the end before you've earned the right to understand it. She pulled the fur tighter around her shoulders. Do you believe in fate? I believe in choices, he said. But I think some choices are written before we're born. And what happens when those choices tear everything apart? He studied her for a long time, then said, then you rebuild. Or you burn it all down again. Their eyes met through the dim firelight. No promises this time. Just understanding, raw and real and impossible to ignore. Outside, dawn began to bleed into the horizon, pale and cold. The storm had passed, but the world below was shifting, packs moving, alliances breaking, the prophecy weaving its threads tighter around them both. He stood, gathering his weapons. We move when the light hits the ridge. The shadow veil won't wait for us. She rose, her flame flickering faintly beneath her skin, steady now, alive but contained. And after that? He looked at her, something dangerous and unspoken in his eyes. After that, you decide if you trust me, or if you walk away. The words hung between them like a vow and a warning all at once. And as the sun crested over the frozen peaks, painting the cave mouth in gold, she realized the truth she'd been avoiding. She already trusted him more than she trusted herself. But trust was a fragile thing in their world, beautiful, fleeting, and far too easy to burn. The ridge burned with the first cruel touch of dawn, gold spilling over the frozen peaks like a wound torn open to the sky. The scarred alpha and the girl with the silver fire stood at its edge, watching smoke rise from the valley below. What she saw there froze the air in her lungs, wolves, her wolves once, kneeling in chains. The scent of iron and ash carried on the wind. Below, in the clearing that stretched like a scar across the land, stood her sister, no longer the fragile beauty of childhood, but something harder, sharper, crowned in ice and hunger. Around her, the shadow wolves waited, their eyes black as obsidian, their bodies rippling with unnatural power. They were not born, they were made. Blood magic ran their veins instead of life. Her breath trembled. She found them. The scarred alpha's expression hardened. She bound herself to them. Shadow wolves don't follow, they own. Her heart thudded painfully. She couldn't. He turned his gaze to her, the weight of truth pressing in his silence. She already has. The world below erupted in movement. Soldiers of fur and steel formed ranks. Her sister lifted her hand, and the chains binding the captured wolves glowed crimson. She recognized faces among them, elders, warriors, children she'd once taught to shift under moonlight. All brought to their knees. Then her sister's voice rose, echoing across the valley. Come down, sister. Or must I drag you from your hole like the coward you've always been? The words sliced through her chest. The scarred Alpha placed a steadying hand on her arm. She wants you angry. I already am, she said quietly. They descended the ridge together, every step carving into her resolve. The snow broke under their boots, the air thick with the electric tension of oncoming war. She could feel the fire humming beneath her skin, restless, alive, whispering for release. But she held it back. She had to. When they reached the clearing, the silence fell heavy, dozens of eyes turning to her, some filled with fear, others with hatred. Her sister smiled, perfect and venomous. Finally, she said. The prodigal flame returns. Her gaze swept to the Alpha at her side. And look who shelters her. The broken wolf. How poetic. The scarred Alpha's jaw tightened, but he didn't rise to the bait. Release them, he said, his voice low, dangerous. Her sister laughed. Oh, I intend to. After I take what's mine. She tilted her head, studying the girl before her. Do you even know why the council cast you out? Why they called you cursed? The girl's pulse quickened. Because of the fire. Because of the Night Father. Because I told them to. The words hit harder than any blade. For a moment, she couldn't breathe. What? Her sister's smile widened. You never questioned it, did you? Poor little outcast. Always believing the world just hated you. But no, it was me. I was the one who told them you'd lost control. That you killed our father. It was the only way they'd let me take the throne. The world tilted. Snow, breath, memory, all blurred. The images she'd buried clawed back, her sister's trembling hands, the tears she thought were guilt. But no. It had all been theater. A performance. You betrayed me, she whispered. Her sister's eyes gleamed with satisfaction. I saved myself. Something inside her cracked open, deep and terrible. The scarred Alpha stepped forward, his voice a growl. You've done enough. Leave her. Her sister turned to him, smirk curving. Ah, the mighty Alpha. Tell me, do you really think she loves you? Or are you just another shield she hides behind? He didn't answer. The silence was answer enough. Her sister's gaze flicked to the shadow wolves. Bind him. Before he could move, a dozen of them lunged. He fought, feral, precise, but the air thickened with dark magic. Chains of shadow coiled around his limbs, forcing him to his knees. Blood streaked his temple. His breath came ragged. Her sister lifted a hand, power thrumming through her veins. The ancient tongue rolled off her lips, the spell twisting like smoke around his throat. The Alpha who defies his Luna will kneel until his will breaks. He gritted his teeth, every muscle straining against the invisible bind. The girl moved toward him, but the ground pulsed beneath her, magic like tar, holding her in place. Her sister's voice cut through the air. Choose. The world stilled. Even the wind seemed to pause. Choose, scarred Alpha. Your Luna, or your cursed stray. He looked at the girl, her eyes wide with disbelief, her lips trembling with words that refused to come. His throat worked, blood sliding down his neck. Don't, she whispered. Don't choose me. He closed his eyes, the silence stretching thin as a blade. Then, with the kind of conviction that only comes once in a lifetime, he spoke. I choose her. The words were soft. Final. power detonated. The spell cracked like thunder. The chain snapped, the shadow wolves thrown backward by the shockwave. Her sister staggered, fury twisting her face. But before anyone could move, she lunged, steel flashing. The knife found its mark. Time broke. He gasped, the sound raw and human and unbearable. Her sister's blade sank deep into his side, silver catching the light like betrayal made flesh. The world blurred red. No. Her scream tore the sky open. Silver light burst from her skin, wild, uncontained, burning through the air with the fury of a dying star. The snow around her turned molten, the trees bowed as if in reverence or fear. Her sister stumbled backward, shielded by the dark. The shadow wolves dissolved under the storm, their forms unraveling into ash. The flame expanded, devouring everything, sound, color, time. And then silence. The light faded. The world was unrecognizable. Ash drifted like snow, settling over ruins. The clearing was gone, the valley scorched clean. She stood in the center, trembling, her body glowing faintly with the remnants of the silver fire. Her hands shook. Her sister was nowhere, vanished into the dark that had made her. But he was still there. The scarred alpha lay in the snow, breath shallow, blood pooling around him. His eyes fluttered open, finding hers. "You didn't run," he rasped. Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I should've. You told me to." A ghost of a smile tugged at his mouth. "You never listen." She pressed her hands against the wound, silver light trying, failing, to heal what was too deep. "Don't you dare leave me." He lifted his hand, fingers brushing her jaw, leaving a smear of red on her skin. "You were never cursed," he whispered. "You were chosen." And then, his hand fell. The sound that tore from her throat was not human. It was the sound of grief made holy. The flame answered her pain, rising once more, not to destroy, but to mourn. It spiraled around them, soft, silver, luminous. When it finally died, she sat beside him in the silence, her heart a hollow echo of the storm that had just passed. The snow began to fall again, gentle this time, covering the blood, the ruins, the proof of what love had cost. By the time the sun broke fully through the clouds, she was alone. The prophecy's words whispered on the wind, "The one with silver fire will end or save us all." She looked down at her hands, at the faint glow beneath her skin. And for the first time, she understood, endings and beginnings were the same flame, burning in different directions. The wind carries the scent of ash and rebirth. The forest, once charred, broken, lifeless, breathes again. Frost fades from the ground where her fire passed, replaced by tender shoots of green. Every spark that had once burned in fury now glows with calm purpose. The world feels changed, as though the ancient flame has rewritten its very bones. She stands in the center of it all, the red moon now paling to soft silver above her. The silence is no longer empty, it hums, alive with balance. Yet within her chest, a war still rages. Power thrums under her skin, restless, wild. It wants more. It whispers of dominion, of shaping the world in her image. But she remembers the faces, her sister's madness, the council's fear, the wolves turned against their own. She knows the cost of power without mercy. The scarred alpha kneels, not from weakness, but from reverence. His breath is shallow, blood still seeping from the wound her sister left him, but his gaze, steady, unwavering, finds hers through the haze. "You did what none of us could," he says, voice rough from smoke. "You broke the curse that kept us chained." She turns toward him, eyes softening. "And yet, it cost us everything." He shakes his head slowly. "Not everything." His hand, trembling, reaches for hers. Their fingers meet between the remnants of fire and frost. For a moment, the chaos quiets. Her pulse slows, matching his, and the energy inside her bends, not to destroy, but to heal. Flame seeps from her palms, golden this time, not silver. It runs through him like sunlight through water, closing wounds, mending torn flesh. His breath steadies. When his eyes open again, they carry the reflection of her light. You shouldn't have done that, he whispers, though his voice is gentler now. Every time you give it away, you lose a part of yourself. Maybe that's the point, she murmurs. Power means nothing if it doesn't protect what's worth keeping. A quiet falls between them. The pack, what remains of it, emerges from the smoke in cautious steps. Their eyes are wary, reverent. They see not a witch nor a curse, but a rebirth. Some kneel. Some weep. The oldest of them, a grizzled wolf with fur white as bone, bows his head deeply. The flame has chosen its vessel, he says. Not to rule, but to restore. Her throat tightens. The title feels heavy, sacred, and undeserved. I never wanted to be a vessel, she says softly. I wanted to be free. The scarred alpha rises beside her, his voice low. Then be both. The words settle in her like an oath. Freedom doesn't mean running anymore, it means standing in the ruin and rebuilding with her own hands. The flame inside her answers not with hunger, but with calm. It has found purpose through her, not over her. Night fades. Dawn creeps through the horizon. The sky, still tinted red, seems to hesitate before surrendering to light. She turns toward it, the cool air brushing against her face. For the first time, she feels the weight of destiny not as a burden, but as a rhythm her heart finally understands. But peace is never eternal. The world beyond the forest stirs. She senses it, the pull of the old council, the tremor of magic awakening in lands she's never seen. The balance she restored here has rippled outward, waking powers long buried. Shadows shift at the edge of creation. The war may be over, but something else, older, deeper, is stirring. The scarred alpha feels it too. His hand tightens around hers. They'll come for you again. I know, she answers. But this time I won't run. He studies her face, the curve of strength hidden behind quiet resolve. You're not the girl I found in chains, he says. You've become the legend they feared. Her lips curve, faintly. Then let them fear me. The pack begins to move, gathering what they can from the wreckage. Smoke rises from the ruins like prayer. She stands apart for a moment, watching them. Their movements, broken but determined, stir something fierce within her. They are rebuilding too. Each scar they carry is a story of survival. She turns to the alpha. They'll follow you. His gaze holds hers, quiet, unreadable. Only if you walk beside me. There's no hesitation this time. She steps closer, the space between them dissolving. His scent, earth, blood, smoke, grounds her. His heartbeat thrums steady under her hand. Then we lead together, she says. He nods once, solemn, like an oath sealed before gods. Together. But even as their vow settles, the wind shifts. Somewhere deep in the mountains, a howl rises, not one of mourning, but of awakening. It's ancient, older than both of them, older than flame. It speaks of something waiting in the dark. Her eyes narrow. The flame flickers inside her chest in recognition, uneasy. The ancestors whisper again, this time, not of destiny, but of balance disrupted. What she unleashed has not vanished, it has only changed shape. She looks at the horizon. The new dawn no longer feels like an ending, it feels like a beginning. The scarred alpha follows her gaze. Whatever comes, he says, we face it as one. And she believes him. Yet in her heart, she knows, the next storm won't come from outside. It will rise from within, from the fire that now ties her spirit to the very pulse of the earth. She has claimed her power, but power, once awakened, never sleeps. The last of the night fades. The first rays of sunlight spill over the ruined shrine, bathing them in gold. She steps forward, the flame flickering softly around her fingertips. Let them come, she whispers. I am no one's weapon. No one's curse. No one's sacrifice. The fire answers, alive, infinite, and free. The wolves bow once more, not to worship, but to witness. The alpha's hand finds hers again, grounding her, binding her not in fate, but choice. Together they walk from the ashes, the world remade behind them, the unknown stretching wide ahead. For now, peace lingers. But beneath it, the heartbeat of prophecy still echoes, quiet, steady, inevitable. And the flame waits, patient as time itself. The ruins lie silent beneath her feet, stone cracked, ash scattered, frost clinging to the last remnants of battle. The world has stopped holding its breath. Even the wind hesitates as though afraid to disturb what remains. Her boots crunch softly over the remnants of what was once the shrine, the birthplace of her curse, her calling, her fire. The same ground that took everything and gave her back something she never asked for, truth. She gazes over the horizon. The red moon sinks into the line where the mountains bleed into the sky. Light spreads slowly, thin, trembling, uncertain, like a world unsure if it deserves dawn. Her hair catches in the wind, streaks of silver glinting like fading embers. The scars along her wrists hum faintly, warm against the cold air. Every beat of her heart echoes through the valley, a slow, haunting rhythm of survival. She doesn't cry. Not at first. But the silence presses in, heavier than any wound. The faces of those she lost flash before her eyes. The pack members who doubted and followed anyway, her father who once called her child of the storm, the sister whose laughter now haunts every gust of wind. All of them ghosts of choices made and unmade. The scarred alpha stands a few paces behind her, his presence quiet but solid. The world may have burned, but he endures, scarred, changed, and alive. His breath fogs in the air, steady, grounded. He says nothing, he doesn't need to. The silence between them is no longer empty, it's full of everything they survived. Still, something trembles inside her. A question she can't bury. She closes her eyes, and the whisper comes, not from the flame, not from prophecy, but from the wound inside her heart. Would they have chosen me if they'd known what I was? She steps forward to the cliff's edge, the valley yawning below, an ocean of mist and memory. Her voice, when it comes, is soft but carries farther than the wind. Would you have chosen me, or feared me too? The sound drifts, fragile, unraveling into the open air. Her reflection stares back at her from a pool of melted frost below, eyes glowing faintly silver, rimmed with exhaustion. Was I the curse they claimed, she breathes, or the flame that saved them? Her voice cracks on the last word. It's not weakness, it's release. A tear slips down her cheek, catching the light like liquid silver. It falls, striking the cold stone, and where it lands, a single spark blooms, small, defiant, eternal. Behind her, the alpha moves closer. His hand hovers just shy of her shoulder, unsure if she needs the touch or the distance. His voice is low, almost reverent. They'll tell stories about you, he says. Some will call you savior. Some will call you monster. But the truth will burn between them. She turns, the faintest curve of a smile ghosting across her lips. Then let them burn. The wind rises, carrying ash and snow in the same breath. The sound of distant howls ripples through the valley, not mourning, not war, something new. Renewal. She steps back from the edge, her expression unreadable, caught between sorrow and strength. The flame stirs within her chest, but it no longer consumes. It listens. Waits. Her destiny is no longer bound to ancient whispers or bloodline curses, it belongs to her now, to the woman who stood against gods and chose to stay human. The scarred alpha's voice breaks the quiet once more. What now? She looks to him, eyes gleaming with faint firelight. Now, she says, we see if the world can survive its rebirth. He nods. And if it can't? Her lips part, breath soft as smoke. Then I'll light it again. The horizon brightens, gold bleeding into silver, the promise of day breaking through nights remains. Her silhouette stands against it, strong, unyielding, eternal. The last of her tear evaporates in the wind. And then, her voice returns. Not to him. To you. Tell me, she whispers, voice threading through the fading echoes of fire and frost, if you had been there. When they turned on me, when the fire chose me instead of them, would you have stood beside me? Or feared what I'd become? A pause. The kind that makes hearts still. The moon dips fully beneath the mountains. Light spills across her face. Her eyes shimmer, meeting you through the silence as though reaching beyond the story. If this story lit something inside you, subscribe to Sophie's Romance Collections. Because here, her breath catches, a faint smile curving her lips as the wind swirls one last time. We tell tales that burn. The sound fades. Only the heartbeat of fire remains, steady, alive, waiting for the next story to ignite. The dawn that once felt like peace begins to tremble. The air shifts, gentle at first, almost tender, then sharpens into something alive. The wind gathers strength, curling through the charred ruins like a spirit returning to claim what was left behind. Her name lingers there, whispered through the ash, through the roots, through the bones of the earth. Not as a memory, but as a warning. She feels it before she hears it. A pulse beneath her feet, faint but unmistakable. The ground shivers, and the remnants of the shrine hum with residual power. She turns, scanning the horizon, nothing moves. Yet something is awake. The silence is too careful, too expectant, as though the world itself is holding a secret it's afraid to speak. Her gaze drifts to the scarred alpha beside her. He senses it too, the stiffness in his shoulders gives him away. The firelight reflects in his golden eyes, but there's something else there now, something deeper, recognition. Do you feel that? She murmurs. He nods once, his voice low. The earth doesn't rest easy. The wind cuts between them, carrying a sound, soft, rhythmic, like a heartbeat buried beneath layers of soil. It grows stronger with every breath. Beneath the ashes, the rhythm persists, defiant. She kneels, pressing her palm against the cold earth. The pulse meets her touch. It's not hers. It's not his. It's something ancient, familiar, and dangerous. And then, through the whispering roots, comes the voice, aged, calm, and patient. She is not the only one. The words seep into her bones like smoke. Her pulse stumbles. The alpha stiffens, head snapping toward the sound. Who said that? He growls, but the wind swallows his question. The voice doesn't answer. It doesn't need to. It leaves behind only the echo, the knowledge that something has been set in motion again. The fire crackles weakly between them, unable to chase away the chill that settles in. She rises slowly, every muscle tense. It can't be, she whispers. The flame chose me. His gaze meets hers, steady but shadowed with unease. The flame doesn't choose once, he says. It survives through those who can bear it. Her breath catches. The words sink deep, threading into the fear she's tried so hard to bury. Could it be happening again? Could the cycle, the curse, the blessing, be starting anew? The sky above answers with silence. Yet far beyond the mountains, somewhere past the veil of the familiar, clouds gather again, slow, deliberate, heavy with promise. She looks toward the horizon, the dawn dimming just slightly, as though the light itself hesitates to rise. And then, miles away, in a forest untouched by her battle, a girl stirs. The air there smells of pine and rain, the kind that carries stories in its drops. She lies beneath an ancient tree, unaware of the world she's about to inherit. Her chest rises with shallow breaths. The ground beneath her glows faintly, soft silver radiating through the roots. Her eyes snap open. Silver flame flickers in her pupils, faint, confused, hungry. The same light that once burned through the first wolf, through the girl who defied gods, through every soul the flame ever touched. It lives again. The girl gasps, clutching at her chest as whispers fill her ears, fragments of a story she's never lived but somehow remembers. The flame must not fade, the wind tells her. It only transforms. In the distance, wolves lift their heads and howl, not in grief, not in worship, but in recognition. The sound travels through the forest like a ripple through time. The trees respond, leaves trembling under the weight of something sacred and unstoppable. The flame has chosen again. And somewhere, far away, the woman who once called herself cursed feels the change in the air. She closes her eyes, letting the whisper curl through her heart like smoke. "It's starting again," she says softly. The scarred alpha looks toward the horizon where the storm gathers once more. "Then we're not finished," he replies. The sky deepens into crimson. The faint hum beneath their feet grows louder, spreading outward, threading through the world like veins of light beneath stone. Every creature that still breathes feels it, an awakening, a stirring, a promise that destiny has not yet finished its story. The woman steps closer to the cliff's edge, eyes reflecting the first sparks of the returning storm. "She'll need to choose," she murmurs. He glances at her. "Choose what?" Her lips curve, half sorrow, half knowing. "Whether to become the fire, or to run from it." Lightning splits the horizon, silver and violent. The world exhales, the trees bending in unison. Somewhere beyond sight, the new bearer of the flame takes her first trembling step into a world still marked by the ashes of the last. And as the light fades, the voice returns, distant, echoing through the cracks of time and prophecy. The story does not end when the fire dims. It ends when no one remembers the warmth. The woman's fingers brush the scar along her wrist, the one that still hums with faint heat. She doesn't smile this time. She just looks out at the storm and whispers, "Then let them remember." The wind carries her words across the valley, through the burned forest, over the rivers, and into the place where the new girl stands. Alone, trembling, bathed in moonlight. The girl tilts her head, as if hearing something no one else can. A whisper, soft and certain, "You are not alone." Her heartbeat steadies. The flame flares in her eyes. And somewhere, deep in the earth, beneath the ashes of what once was, a faint laugh, low, ancient, unbroken, rises like the echo of eternity. The fire is awake again. But this time it will not wait to be summoned. If your heart still burns for what comes next, subscribe to Sophie's Romance Collections. Because here, the fire never dies, and every ending is just the start of another storm.